Good afternoon, everyone. Donald Trump and Republicans have once again failed the American people. On the campaign trail, Donald Trump and Republicans promised to lower costs on day one. But failed Republican policies haven't led to costs going down. Costs have gone up. And the Trump tariffs have increased costs on everyday Americans by thousands of dollars per year. On the campaign trail, Donald Trump and Republicans promised that immigration enforcement would focus on targeting violent criminals who are here illegally. But under Donald Trump, the Department of Homeland Security and ICE are spending taxpayer dollars to brutalize and in some cases kill American citizens like Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy. On the campaign trail, Donald Trump and Republicans promised not to get the American people into endless, failed, foreign, forever wars. And yet Donald Trump has just gotten America into an endless war that he acknowledges and plans to be endless, as was the case earlier today. And we've already tragically lost the lives of 6 American service members because Donald Trump, without justification and without coming to Congress, has gotten America into a Middle Eastern war that we know will not end well based on what we've already seen in Afghanistan, in Iraq, and for that matter, in Vietnam as well. Donald Trump and Republicans have consistently lied to the American people over and over and over again on matters related to both domestic and foreign policy. These extremists have been a complete and total disaster. They have consistently failed the American people. And Democrats are here to offer a better path forward. And our commitment to the American people remains. We're going to fight to make your life better in every way possible, to drive down the high cost of living, to fix our broken healthcare system, to deliver an immigration enforcement system that's fair, just, and humane, that focuses on violent criminals who are here illegally, not targeting law-abiding immigrant families or killing American citizens. And we are here as Democrats to make sure that we're spending taxpayer dollars in ways that are designed to improve the quality of life of the American people, not launching another endless war in the Middle East that is destined to cost more American lives and billions, if not trillions, of dollars unless Congress is able to stop Donald Trump in his tracks, which is what it is our intention to do. Questions?
We know the War Powers Resolution is an issue with Democrats that you're going to be bringing up. Unfortunately, as we know, even if it does pass the House and the Senate, it will be vetoed by the President. Is there anything more that Democrats can do?
It's important for us to take the step that is in front of us right now, which is to work to make sure that the War Powers Resolution, which is bipartisan in nature, passes on the House floor today. Every member of Congress needs to go on record. This is a matter of the utmost significance that the framers understood would perhaps be the most important decision that members of Congress would make. And in fact, they decided that in our system, they don't want a king-like figure being able to unilaterally decide to send American men and women to war. That's why in Article 1 of the Constitution, this power was explicitly given to the Congress. And it's now the Congress's responsibility to go on record, because Donald Trump has unconstitutionally and illegally chosen to launch a war. He's describing it as a war. So-called Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, is describing it as a war. Other members of the administration are describing it as a war. and is a requirement under the Constitution that it's members of Congress who make the decision as to whether to get us entangled in this kind of armed conflict, and that's what the resolution this week will be all about. Thanks.
Thank you, Leader Jeffries. On immigration, the Trump administration has taken several actions regarding international students during its term. Most recently, it was revealed that Secretary Noem is reconsidering the optional practical training period for international students, which allows them to work for a bit after they graduate. Many conservatives in Congress have called for the program to be ended so students can be sent home early. What do you think about ending this program, and what does it mean about the U.S. being a place for people around the world to come and study?
I have to evaluate the particulars of this program, and we'll be happy to do so moving forward. Let me just say about Kristi Noem, she is a disgraceful, despicable, and deplorable human being. Why is she still around? Like, I do not understand this. The American people want her to go. People of goodwill want her to go. There are Republicans who want her to go. She's not qualified to lead the Department of Homeland Security or any other agency in this country, for that matter. I mean, this administration is so completely and totally out of control. They've so failed the American people. Exhibit A at this moment, of course, is Kristi Noem. How disgusting is it that she could not even apologize to the families of Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy when given the opportunity to do so in their presence for slandering those two American citizens and calling them domestic terrorists when she knew better than that. So one, I don't have any confidence in anything that Kristi Noem stands behind, but I'm happy to look at the particulars of this program. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Speaker Johnson said yesterday that in the Gang of Eight briefing yesterday that the possibility of supplemental for the conflict came up. Can you confirm that did come up during the discussion, and where do House Democrats stand on the possibility of additional funding for this conflict going on, since we don't know how long it could go on?
Yeah, there was some reference made to it, but the nerve of these extremists to want to raise the possibility of coming to Congress for supplemental funding related to a war that we haven't even authorized yet. And so we're not there. What's in front of us right now is the War Powers Resolution that House Democrats will strongly support. And what is also clear is that the American people are strongly opposed to the actions that Donald Trump have taken in the Middle East. Because the president, as candidate, promised not to get us involved in an endless war. Why are we spending taxpayer dollars, billions of dollars, to bomb Iran as part of some regime change effort that the American people want no part of at this point in time, as opposed to actually driving down the high cost of living, lowering the cost of groceries, health care, housing, child care, and electricity bills, which the American people are suffering under the crushing weight of right now because of Donald Trump's policies. We should be spending taxpayer dollars to drive down the high cost of living, not funding Donald Trump's unlawful, unauthorized, and unconstitutional endless war, to use his terms, in the Middle East.
Yeah, it looks like there is now an alternate War Powers resolution. Are you going to encourage people to support both, one over another? What is your thinking on that?
Haven't seen the alternate War Powers resolution. Right now our focus is on the resolution that will be on the floor this week. Okay.
But there's a few House Democrats who are saying they might not actually support the War Powers resolution. What are you telling those folks to try to get them on board?
We'll have a conversation as a caucus tomorrow in the aftermath of the secure briefing that takes place this evening, but before the debate that occurs on Wednesday, and of course the ultimate vote on Thursday. We'll continue to make the strongest possible case. There is going to be very strong Democratic support for the War Powers resolution across the ideological spectrum. That I can guarantee you. And there may be a handful of members who have still not made a decision and want to participate in the secure briefing before they come to a final conclusion. Here's the thing. Having been briefed now, not once but twice, there is no evidence that has been presented to us that the United States was under threat of imminent attack from Iran. Zero evidence of that. In fact, many members of the administration have actually publicly now admitted that. So if in fact that was the case, it's hard for the American people to understand the rationale from launching a preemptive war in the Middle East that has now spread to more than half a dozen countries and resulted in the death of at least 6 brave, courageous, heroic service members. That's unacceptable. And we'll continue to have conversations as we move forward over the next few days, particularly in the aftermath of the administration's briefing. Thanks.
Thank you, Leader Jeffries. Republicans are using the Iran operation as justification to put this DHS funding bill on the floor again this week. They've argued essentially that the resulting heightened threat level in the U.S. Means that the DHS shutdown needs to end. What are Democrats' response to that strategy?
Donald Trump launches an unauthorized war in the Middle East. He characterizes it as endless. He decides that he wants to spend billions of dollars to bomb Iran rather than spend taxpayer dollars to lower the grocery bills that are crushing the American people, and then wants to use his unauthorized war as an excuse to continue spending taxpayer dollars to brutalize or kill American citizens by continuing to unleash ICE without restriction on the American people. The whole thing is insane. Make it make sense, because it does not.
Thank you, Leader Jeffries. Back in 2011, Nancy Pelosi said that then President Obama didn't need congressional approval to bomb Libya. Now House Democrats say President Trump needs that approval to bomb Iran. What's the difference?
Well, obviously, Libya and the circumstances connected to that were very different than the circumstance that we face in Iran right now. I mean, I don't even understand the genesis or basis of that question. I'm suggesting that you're not asking it in good faith.
Libya went
but
on for
obviously,
7 months.
As I've indicated, first of all, it was not in Congress at the time. So we're dealing with what we're dealing with right now, which is a catastrophic, endless war, as Donald Trump has characterized it, without any justification that there was going to be a preeminent assault or attack on the United States of America, either in our homeland or as it relates to our interests in the Middle East. The administration is not even pretending like they have intelligence or information at this point, publicly. And certainly there's been nothing that has been presented to us privately to justify a preemptive strike of this nature that has triggered an all-out war in the Middle East. And by the way, Donald Trump is the one who said in the aftermath of the 12-day war that Iran's nuclear program has been completely and totally obliterated. Not my words, his words. So was he lying to the American people then, or is he lying now? When he tried to suggest a few days ago that this was in part about stopping Iran's nuclear aspirations. They're all over the place in terms of their justification because they have nothing that explains their decision affirmatively not to come to Congress. The Constitution of the United States is not a mere inconvenience. It's an absolute necessity when it comes to the things that have been spelled out quite clearly by the framers of the Constitution. What happened to Republicans being so-called originalists? Was that all a lie as well? Because under this president, my Republican colleagues who continue to act like nothing more than reckless rubber stamps for Donald Trump's extreme agenda, ignore his behavior, this wannabe king, when it comes to trying to strip away congressional power as it relates to the appropriations, strip away congressional power as it relates to tariffs, and strip away congressional power as it relates to the declaration of war. The Constitution is not ambiguous about all of these things, and yet we see Republicans continuing to bend the knee to their wannabe king. That's not us, and it will never be. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.